some point, can we be the voice? Like, can we take that? Here it comes. You know, like how they do on the train at the airport?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the mayors and the like that opportunity.
Next 30 minutes. All the computers will shut down in 26, rest of 15 minutes. Thank you.
Like do some. But
That's not what I say.
take a rat.
Yeah, need them.
It is, are we recording now?
We
Okay.
are.
It is 7:03. I will call this public library board to order.
All right, roll call. Chair Marie Hotta.
Here.
Vice Chair Andy Sakaris.
Here.
Scott Gilbert.
Here.
Edie Hughes.
Here.
Gina Oberding.
Here.
Chris Ray.
Here.
Amy Wilson.
Here.
We have City Council Member Chelsea Noonenkamp. We have Englewood School Liaison Dwayne Tucker.
Present.
Excuse, we have Maggie Burns and Dina Phelps. Staff, we have Christina Underhill, Director of Parks, Recreation, Library and Golf, and Bethany Lafferty, Library and Cultural Arts Manager.
To approve the minutes.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I don't believe there's any public comment. So we can move through this statistical report.
So as warned, the page views are totally off. I feel like ones for the catalog possibly could be close, because it's in the ballpark of the last years. But the numbers that Marmot has provided us are like over 50,000. And I know our website got looked at more than 300 times, because I probably looked at it at least 1,000 times myself. So I'm currently working with the communications department to set up a completely new set of analytics, not even using Google. Because the city has access to another provider called thru. So we're gonna set up the library with analytics through that. So these numbers might be a little off going forward. Hopefully during the month of August, I'll be able to get that set up. I don't know that it can retroactively look at activity. I don't really know how that kind of stuff works. So I'll find out, and then then for next month, I'll have an update on when it actually starts from, and if I'm able to provide any retroactive data. So that's the bit about the page views. Want to again point out the museum passes continuing to grow every month. Over 120 uses. The most popular continues to be the Denver Botanic Garden and the Museum of Nature and Science. And the butterfly pavilion, but all of them got used at least once. We had a couple of hiccups with some of the usage, but we've been working with the website administrator to work those kinks out, so that's all good. So culture passes have been really great this summer. Volunteer hours totaled 277. 55 of those hours were completed by 9 adult volunteers, and the remaining 222 hours by 27 teens. Programming was really strong for both, the children's team and adult services. No outreach during the month of July, but we don't really expect that during July that much. Some of the highlights for summer include the summer reading program. The adult program had 125 total summer reading program participants signed up. And then varying levels of, there's like different tiers for how many hours people read, if you read 40, it was 10 hours per, it was 40 hours, and we had 38 people that completed 40 hours. And this was as of last week, because they had until last Sunday to, turn stuff in. So there might be a little bit more. But definitely much more participation, greater participation than we expected for the adult program, which is great. We ran out of one of the prizes, the tattered covered bookstore gift card. We ran out of those twice.
Oh,
Wow.
So yeah, we had to get more.
That's really good.
And then this last, we ran out again, we were offering, at one of the tiers, they got to choose a book. So we offered the opportunity to choose another book or wait for when, more of the gift cards were required. So, yeah, so there was a mix of people who were like, sure, I'll just take another one of the book selections. And then some people wanted the gift card. So that was really great participation there. People seemed to really like it. Summer reading for children had 661 total signups. 204 kids signed up for a second reading log, and 45% had completed the program. And we're gonna actually have Kimberly Powers come in a little bit later in the meeting during staff's choice to give a little bit more elaborate presentation on summer reading, because it was a really meaningful topic this summer. So she wanted to share with the board about that. So I won't steal all of her statistics. That's about it. Not too many incidents during the month, but still had. The most of them were a lot of verbal warnings. We're really trying to establish, notifying people about what the expectations for behavior are, giving them a bit of a chance. At least one of those verbal warnings did ultimately result in an exclusion.
Did the exclusion incident stand out to you?
There was one that was quite, I don't know, I guess, aggressive and long lasting. It took, we had to call the police. It took a little while for them to get here. It was very difficult to get the person to leave the library. There was a physical altercation with our lead safety specialist, who did sustain a minor injury. That's probably the only one that really stood out. That same individual returned the next day, shouting and carrying on with the contracted security about not being able to come into the building. And so he received a secondary exclusion for a longer period of time for violence and violating the exclusion the day prior. So that's probably the one that stands out the most. We have not seen that individual come back since that second day.
Hopefully it wasn't during like kids reading time this time around.
It was right at the end. It was right when story time was letting out, so it was difficult. A lot of the staff members kind of corralled people back into story time. The team volunteers back into the story time room, and then kind of just push some people deeper into the children's area to take them away from the incident, because it was basically happening in the center of the library.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Upsetting the kids for sure.
Yeah, so, and yeah, I mean, it was upsetting for the staff and the other patrons, so that was probably the most difficult one we had.
Did the police arrest him?
Well,
Not to my knowledge.
I know the city of Englewood has like a co-responder program where a mental health specialist may
The
join.
responder was on.
They were, okay, so at least that's using the resource we have here in Englewood, and whether that results in anything else, that's, their choice, but
And I'll have most calls from the library, a co-responder always comes,
yeah.
which helps. But in this
Helps,
particular
right.
situation, there was no talking to this
Yeah.
individual.
That's too bad.
Yeah, the other exclusions were 2 for drug use, 1 for theft, and 1 for failure to comply with staff direction. And then several verbal warnings and a couple of just 24-hour ejections, and the rest of all the others, I guess there was only 3. I thought there was more than that. Those were for patron requests for staff to call 911 for medical assistance or police assistance. Because one of them was somebody wanted police to take a report of theft or something like that. That was not anything that really, they weren't, I don't think they were in the library, they came in and asked if we wanted to use for them. So that's what the other situations were.
On the physical visitors, it's quite a bit different from the previous month.
From June, or, so the one, the one prior, or to the right of it is from last July. And, during 2022, the numbers were essentially doubled as we were using the in and out of.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, so you can look at the
I see what
2022
you're
numbers
saying.
at
Yeah.
like 6,000,
I
yeah.
gotcha.
And we had two entrances at that time.
I see.
Yeah.
People come.
Okay.
And I did think that, I felt like still 4,000 was a little low, just kind of in general. In June, it was 4,500, so it's being fairly consistent for this year. I do think we did lose out some people when we had the closure at the beginning of the year that may not have come back. And some of those people we may be glad didn't come back, and some we missed, so that's a little bit tricky, so that's why I think we're less than 5,000 average.
Mhm.
Where we can look at last July and know that that was approximately 6,000.
And comparatively, it's been more mild.
True,
Have fewer people seeking rest here.
that's true.
The, are the social media metrics likely accurate?
You know, they come directly out of Facebook, so like, I don't really know. Because it was like,
Because the social media.
yeah, and I guess I should call it Meta, because Meta runs both
Yeah.
platforms now, and so Meta produces the analytics for our page, it's the business page, so I feel like they are probably fairly accurate.
It's just interesting that it down year over year when I think the social media presence has significantly improved.
Kimberly's posted a ton this
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah, that's what I think. I feel like there's been a lot more posting and more engagement with the postings. I don't know. I'm not sure why it doesn't. And again, I don't know how it calculates any of this stuff either. That's why I feel like it's, take it with a grain of salt. Like, people are looking at our social media. We use it to make announcements about upcoming things as well as to recap past programs, and people seem to get messaging from
The
it.
library will close in 15 minutes. Please bring your items to circulation for checkout at this time. The public restrooms are now closed for the evening. Public computers will shut down in 5 minutes. Please save or print your work now.
I think for the sake of time, we should move on to action in a minute. Everyone's good with that?
So update on item number 1, the volunteer program. Our adult volunteers have begun sorting donated books for the upcoming used book sale, which will be held September 15th through the 18th. And guidelines for accepting donations have been created and approved by the library board. That was something that we did a couple months ago. So that information will be turned kind of into, like a flyer and announcement for calling for donations from the public, which will actually start. So we'll be announcing that either Thursday or Friday of this week, as we will begin taking donations on August 13th through September 2nd. And then we'll have about 2 weeks to continue sorting and preparing things for the sale, which will be in the community room upstairs. And actually, it's technically going to start September 14th. Because we kind of ran into a problem for doing it on the Monday, the 18th, because of council, we're not allowed to use the community room. So we're going to get it set up in the late afternoon of the 14th, which is a Thursday, and then we'll have it open for just 2.5 hours for kind of like a first look at the stuff that we have available. And then it will be Friday and Saturday, 9:30 to 5, Sunday, 12 to 5. And then for Monday, we'll move the remaining items down here to the library and do a $5 bag sale out of the parent room.
So when is it again?
September, so technically September 14th, we're actually gonna start it. And
Okay,
I think what we're gonna do for that,
in the community room, so.
yeah, that'll be upstairs. I think what we were planning to do for that is figuring out like how to send it out to like VIPs, patrons, or like the library board and stuff like that. City council, city employees, something like that, I'm not really sure, and then it will be fully open, but like if people know about it, they can come. We're not like saying specifically you can't. Right, exactly. So we're gonna kind of do it like that, and that's only gonna be a 2.5 hour, and we do plan to have our volunteers helping out at the book sale, taking payments and stuff like that, and there will be at least one staff member along with volunteers of all times. And a later item is, could be for you all to volunteer if you'd like to. We'll get to that later. Item number 2, so the cultural arts passes are well underway. So the next thing that we're focusing on is the non-traditional lending program. So in July, we got final preparations for the book club kits. We've selected some titles to add this year, so we'll be purchasing, I think, at least 2 to 4 titles before the end of the year. And then we've created some additional materials to put inside the book club kits, and it's a folder that has discussion questions, recommendations for title selections that are based on like monthly themes or topics, and some tips about running book clubs. So that, and then the folders also have little stickers on it for promoting the kit keeper, which will be the way that people can reserve in advance. And it also indicates if the title for that kit is available on Libby. And then we made a plan for next year. We plan to add up to 8 titles. We'll do it on a quarterly basis, so we'll add 1 or 2 titles each quarter. And that will, by stretching it out, it will help us kind of promote the kits by announcing, hey, a new title has been added to book club kits. And then this part's a little kind of convoluted to explain, but the item record information in our online catalog is going to be updated so that if you look up book club kits in the catalog, it will direct you to the kit keeper for making reservations. So we're working on, that's like our final step in getting that kind of segue over. And then we plan to fully roll it out and like announce it and promote it during the month of September. We're really excited for that. And so like the book club kits are the first thing, and then we'll move on to the story time bins, the board game, and some other filling kits that Kimberly's been working on. Then we'll probably add, we might add more things to it down the road.
Beth, I wonder, are you guys gonna be prepared to, with the keeper kits in time for the book sale? Because it might be a nice opportunity to just advertise a new library offering during the.
Yeah,
book sale.
Yeah, because I think we'll at least have like promotional materials, like little flyer announcements and things like that. We'll have to be able to put that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things too that we were talking about was making like bookmarks. So like you can, when people are buying their stuff, you can slip it into their
Great idea.
purchase item.
Yeah, or something
Yeah.
like QR code that kind of leads back to the
Right.
information about it or
Yep.
something.
Exactly.
Good idea.
Our partnership with Englewood Public Schools. My update there is that, I've been in contact with, representatives of the school district we have to make a final decision about how we're gonna manage the requirement for passwords. Because even for the student generated accounts with the student IDs, it has to have a password to access anything. We can't really work around it. So, we're still trying to pin down a date, for me to meet with Paul Whitaker to come up with an idea what the passwords should be. That will be easy for the schools to manage and students to remember, teachers to remember. And then he'll do an update of the data set that will send to Marmot, and Marmot will set up passwords. somehow. And you might have to just do a generic password to start, and then the students reset it, because it doesn't seem to, it doesn't make sense to say all the students have the same password. But I don't know, so that's what I'm gonna talk to him about, are like, what are the feasibility issues, and what are the privacy concerns and usage concerns, so we're trying to set something up. And then I've got information about some of the new links that the school will utilize, and either on their website or, sending it out to parents and teachers. Because a couple of things have changed, and I'm in the midst of moving from the Access 360 is like done at the end of August, is when it expires, and then we'll get set up with the Sora interface, it's just for that's only for the schools, it's the only people that will use it, but it will provide access to our Libby content of titles for children and kids. So we're almost there on that one. For staff development, and I just want to point out that, actually, I didn't have a new one in there, but I did add from last month that, Maggie had pointed out about our in-service day, so I just added that. It's not read, but for library marketing, the social media team met a couple weeks ago to finalize some assignments and plan initiatives for the Instagram and Facebook accounts. And my database marketing plan has unfortunately been delayed. So I just have had other things kind of take precedence. So my plan had been to do kind of general databases through the summer, and as the fall and beginning of the school year started, work on the student focused databases. So that's where I'm gonna start, is with the student focused databases in September and October, and then later in the year, kind of circle back around. And then the new library website will be soft launched in a couple of weeks. Carrie and I have been working diligently on it with communications, and we have a meeting this Friday to finalize everything. And I honestly, I think it actually will, she's gonna soft launch it next week. We have a lot more expanded content for the website, and it'll have a new, more colorful look to it, and have all the updated information, like policies and all. And
Would you, send it to us? Sure. Up and ready to look at?
Is it
yes.
the same URL to get there?
Yeah, it'll still be the same. I think,
The library will close in 5 minutes. Please finish your work and head toward the exit.
Yeah, they just,
yeah, it should be. I think she just kind of replaces it
yeah,
with the new.
you unpublish one and publish the new one.
Yeah,
So replace it.
exactly, because it's just like unpublished right now. But yeah, and like the shortcut to it will be englewoodco.gov/library. Right,
That
so,
rolls off the tongue.
yeah, I think, because that's what it is
Just
now.
Marcus.
So yeah, it'll be the same.
All right. Questions on the action? All right, we can move on to new business with the board commission information training. All that.
So just a reminder, if you have not reviewed the information, take a few minutes to. And there is the checklist. I made copies, so if you have not signed that yet, if you would sign it and give it to me before the meeting ends. And then, like tonight came up, with meeting at Qdoba, and we encourage you guys to do that, but just a reminder of the open meeting law. So if 3 or more members meet, it constitutes a meeting. Where, and Andy, you can correct me. So no public business can be conducted. You can talk about family, patients, everything like that, but you cannot discuss any business related to the library board. No decisions can be made. If it is something you guys do plan on discussing, then we need to post at least 24 hours in advance to make public aware. Okay. All right.
You follow the rules, too.
All week long. No,
Seriously.
no secret meetings anymore.
So, and then any questions you have on the information or that, reach out. Thanks.
So we're gonna have the block party, coming up on Saturday, August 26th. The library will have a booth for that. The library is only going to run its booth from 4 to 7 p.m. And I started making a sign up genius for this, and then I discovered that it was all in Eastern time. And I couldn't change it, so I have to completely redo it. So I was working on it this afternoon, trying to figure out how to change the time zone. But once you've created the sign up, it doesn't change for some reason. So I have to redo it. But I will be I'll probably send that out tomorrow to everybody. And I think I might, when you let me know what you prefer, so I can do 2 separate emails to do like volunteer for block party, volunteer for book sale. So like,
Searchability wise,
two, okay, yeah. And that, because that way too, is like, you're not available for one, you can just focus on the other. So I'll be sending that out if you are available to, volunteer for the, block party. I'll have 2, 3 1-hour slots. 3 1-hour slots for 2 people maximum. Because if we have 2 volunteers, that's great. We only have one that's perfectly adequate. Okay. So it'll be 1 hour at a time. There'll be 3 of them. So 4 or 5. And then for the book sale, I'm gonna do kind of like a bigger time block, probably 2 hours. And that I'll have opportunities for all the days. I don't expect the library board members to fill the slots, just having options for you to choose if you're available and would like to help out with it. So I will set that out. And that will really just be for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm not gonna do it because we'll just use our regular library volunteers and staff for the Thursday evening and like a setup and takedown. So this will just be for the bulk of it. And then the bag sale will be one thing.
When you said the book sales in the community, will people be able to enter on the 2nd floor?
Yes, because I formally requested use of the roof of the city, so they will make arrangements for facilities to make sure that the upstairs doorway is unlocked. And I believe that will include the restrooms.
It will reopen tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Up to 5 window.
Just for Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So, because it'll be during our,
Regular
regular
business.
library hours, so Friday and Saturday will be 9:30 to 5.
Okay.
12 to 5 on Sunday.
Got it. Do you have other volunteers that you plan to use? Will you just use your regular volunteers?
Yes, we'll have our regular volunteer list sign up for spots too. Perfect. And then, we'll have some of our regular staff help out too, that are already scheduled those days. Sunday, I kind of anticipate being here as well, especially to help with the takedown, because we need to bring everything back downstairs. Sunday, because we're supposed to be out of the room for Monday.
All right.
So, cool. We'll bring everything back to here. So we kind of, I'll send those out as 2 separate emails. If you're available to volunteer and help out. With those 2 events.
All right. Next is power availability. This was requested.
So do you have, do you want me to go ahead or?
Well, whatever, yeah, if you have any concerns or questions that you wanted to start with.
I have a friend who was down here the other day, and he wrote to me and said, it's increasingly getting frustrating trying to find a place to work in the library with my laptop because so few tables are near working outlets. And he said 80% of the time, any table near an outlet is taken, and so I'm here as long as my laptop holds up and battery holds up, and that's it. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I came in early today, and I don't know if all the outlets are live, but it looked like maybe one round table over here is near, and out in that outlet, and there were 2 over that way. Are those both near? Okay. So it's down to what, like 3 altogether out of maybe?
There's 3 tables that are along walls that have access to power. There was previously a table outside of the tech lab.
That one's gone.
Right, that has been covered and taken away partly because that little inlet there is not viewable on the surveillance cameras. And we had a violent interaction in that spot last fall. And so that was what prompted the removal of that. And before we had the outlet covered, people would just sit on the floor there. And so that's why you'll see covered things throughout the library. So there's one right outside of the restroom as well that's covered, because people would just sit right there and plug their devices. Right, but that is like a very well-used walkway
Right.
to go to nonfiction steps, the puzzle area, to the restroom. So I can't have somebody sitting on the floor there, even if they pulled a chair over.
Well, it's just like
It's-
answered or something.
Right, exactly. You just can't, it just impedes the flow of traffic.
Right.
There is one other space near the north lobby door, the one that looks into the north lobby. There's a chair, like one of the oversized chairs there, and there's an outlet right next to it. So that one doesn't necessarily have a table to work at. There used to be a small side table there, which was removed because the only thing people used it as was an ottoman. So that has also been removed, but you can plug in there.
Okay.
We had another chair near the south lobby entrance previously, but because we relocated the security desk over there, it's being used by the security desk. All of the study rooms are equipped with working outlets.
Right, he mentioned that, but he said that I'm gonna do more than 2 hours of work, and so he wasn't able to. So I'm curious, because I go to some of the Arapahoe libraries from time to time, my grandkids really like them. And I think they almost universally have power at tables, even at like Coble and stuff, but like I go to Sheridan Library sometimes, and they have, I mean, all the tables have these pop-up power things, and would it be a prohibitively expensive thing to get more power out of?
Because what it requires is laying electrical lines in the cement of the floor. So the cement has to be cut up to do it, because we're not gonna have crisscrossing of cords on top of the carpet.
Yes.
So that's the thing that's difficult. The only place we have kind of centered electrical access are for the pods of computers. Because they did put that in for that purpose whenever that arrangement was made many years ago.
Are there any wall outlets that do not currently have tables near them where a table could be, but that wouldn't be in like a hidden area from the cameras or anything?
No, not really. I mean, we can try to rearrange the resource wall area, but the power that's on the one wall where the phone lockers are, that's why we have the phone lockers there, because there's power that the phone lockers plug into. I guess there is an outlet where, so the resource wall is in that kind of muraled corner where we have all the plastic slots for pamphlets and stuff.
Right.
There is an outlet on that wall that I have seen people use, and unfortunately I've had to ask them to not use because they'll do their cords all the way across to the tables over there.
Right.
I would love to have tables that have power on them. It's, you know, and I've talked with facilities about it previously, and they just kind of were like, it's not a good project to pursue for this building. They don't want to because of the cost that it's going to entail, and there's still possibility that this isn't gonna be a long lasting building. You know, so I don't know what to do about that.
Well, you could even just like, just think about it. And see.
Well, and the other thing that we have I discussed this with some of the supervisors, so there are, like charging towers.
Right.
The thing that I especially worry about is that if we try to like allow charging towers to be borrowed for people to use at freestanding tables, I don't want them to get stolen.
Right.
Because they're not that they're like terribly expensive, but they're not so, cost efficient, that we can just easily replace them. So I've been kind of hesitant to explore that, because I don't want there to be, like hurdles you have to get over to borrow them. Because I want to say that it's accessible for anybody who needs to use it. But I also don't want them to get stolen. So that's,
Yeah, well, I hope we could at least maybe think of some possible solutions to it. And as far as facilities, saying, well, we might not be in this building, I mean, honest, I've been hearing that from
well,
the city since 2016, ever since Eric Kent floated the idea of a sale, ever since it's like, well, we're not gonna, do anything with this building, we'll be out in day now. It's like, well, I've had 5 grandkids since then. So,
yeah, and I'm trying to and I don't know that there's really, just look at what the layout for the features look like. I can't see how we can utilize the freestanding computer pods. We'd have to either eliminate the pods of computers and put tables in
well,
them.
I'm certainly not
Yeah,
for something like that, but.
Oh, the other thing, I just remembered, sorry to interrupt you. I forgot, the other place that we do have availability for plugging in is in the tech lab. Because we do have 3 stations that don't have computers on it that people can sit at with their own device and plug.
How long can they sit there?
They could sit there for however long they want.
Yeah,
I think that is probably a spot that, because see how long it took me to remember it? I think it's a spot that we just forget to offer to people. Because we're so used to people going into the tech lab to use the computers, and we forget that there's those stations that they can use their own device at. So I have to remind the staff about that.
is there much room to spread out work there, or are they little carols?
It's not a huge table. It's probably about half this size, because it's just for a single person. And, we can look in there too when the meeting's over, if you'd like, so you can see, but it's a decent spot for just one person. Work out, I don't know if you'll see that. It's dark in there too, so I can't see.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's a decent size for a person to work solo. And I know that during the tech assist programs, staff will sit there with a patron working on their devices. And a lot of times they do bring their own devices. So I would say that's at least 3 spots with no time constraint, plus the round table. And the 2 tables in the reference area, I mean, you can sit on either side of the table and 2 different people could access power simultaneously. If you're okay sitting at a table with a stranger.
That's where my buddy was trying to work the other day. He said his tables were all stacked with people's belongings, with all the stuff they carried with them. And we couldn't find the space to work.
Is it Robert? Name Robert?
Oh, no. Did Robert complain?
Yes, I had to email from a person named Robert about the statement size issue.
Oh. Yeah, good. So anyway, I mean, I don't know if it could just not be a closed topic, if it's something that we could, perhaps explore. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I think there are ways that people can drop their drive, if they want to use a power, say, all right, give me your driver's license, and then when you're ready,
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I worry about is we have some patients that don't have photo identification. So we're prohibiting a certain group of people from being able to utilize that tool because they don't have what we're requiring. So that's why I want to try to come up with a solution that we can safely and securely allow anybody who would like to use it, or put it out on the table and it's on the table for the day in a secure manner that it can't be taken.
Yeah, that would be.
Something like that.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I appreciate whatever thought
Mhm.
you can get that.
Any other thoughts on that? Okay, we can move on to the budget. In old business.
Okay, so I was trying to nail down the full 1,000. But I've got just the request is just so far for that we've really confirmed solid use is for $600 for, various youth programs through the end of the year. And that includes funding trunk or treat, jamboree, and a teen art project. You may have noticed when you exit towards the south, there's the teen art display case. That's been there for well over a year. So that is actually, Kimberly has, I think it was something that they did this summer. So they have artwork to refresh that space with, but she wants to have it professionally mounted on foam board and stuff like that. So it's nice display. And so she'll use some of that, this money, some of the $600 to fund that. And then the remaining 400, I hope to have something more concrete by next month.
Really fun, staff appreciation, it's not fast
Yeah.
as well.
And I didn't know if that seemed like too much, or if you wanted to split it between that and something else.
We've done more in the past than that,
Okay.
so,
And you have bigger stuff.
yeah.
Okay, then I would feel comfortable then saying that $400 for staff appreciation for the year.
I think I would rather us spend money on staff appreciation than other things, to be completely honest.
Okay.
So
You came at a time of knowledge.
yeah, no, I mean,
If we even wanted to split it,
We could do 50-50.
yeah.
You want to do 500 for the remaining youth stuff?
Yeah.
The arts grant, okay, and then 500 for staff?
I mean, is that enough to do something meaningful, right? Like,
Oh, yeah, I think so.
okay.
Good Kroger brand soda.
Yeah, I know, like, I would rather use all of the 1,000 to like appreciate the staff than the other things, but, if you feel like it can be meaningful and well done, nice, and not just like, here is some Wendy's, not knocking Wendy's, but, I just want to make sure that, we.
No, I think it would, because we did, budget, like in our regular library budget, more funds for staff appreciation as well for 2023.
Okay.
So I think to add that on will really help to make something really
Great.
good.
Cool.
Wonderful. All right, then we need a motion to spend 500 on youth programs and 500 on staff appreciation, and I can do that motion, I guess.
You did agree.
So, I'm reading about the paper here. So I just,
I'll second that.
no, it's Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So staff choice.
I'll make 2 announcements and then turn it over to Kimberly. And we're thinking for time purposes, we'll have you do a high level overview of the children's program. We'll show part of the video and then we'll send the video out to all of you as well.
Thanks.
So 2 events coming up. We've got Silent Disco this Friday night, August 11th, from 6 to 10. From 6 to 8, we actually have a band playing. And then from 8 to 10 is when the DJs hit the ground and you put the headphones on, you get to pick which DJ you want to dance to. So should be a really fun event. There will be alcohol there as well as food vendors. So if you need a little courage dancing, that should help you. And then the block party, like Beth mentioned, August 26th from 4 to 10 p.m. down on Broadway. So hope to see you guys there. Right here at the amphitheater. Yeah.
Thank you. And the art exhibit starts technically this Thursday. Artist reception, August 24th at 5:30.
That a Thursday?
Yes.
Will you send that out?
Sure. Yeah, because I'm having like a flyer invitation made and I'll have that sent out to.
Now, will that be here at the library?
Yes.
Or will the art be for sale?
Yes, if the artists want to sell it, they're able to just directly work with people if they want to purchase anything. We have a mix of professional artists. We have a couple students and just kind of hobbyists. So, and it'll be in that area right over there where we keep the festival. That's where the reception will be. This time it's just community art.
At the podium.
All right, well, I'll introduce myself first because I know some of you know me, some of you don't, but I am the children and teen librarian, and we did just wrap up summer reading, which is kind of a big deal around here. But the idea of the video came about when one of my staff members said, "You should do a video." I said, "Okay, let's do it." And so as I was putting it together, I
there were a lot of, and I was just gonna send it in here to you guys, but, there were a lot of really great stats. There were a lot of, really fun pictures, and there was an element that was missing that doesn't come through the video unless I share it with you. And so that's what I'm here to do. I apologize if I get a little emotional, because every time I think about it, I get a little emotional, and I shared it with my team today, and they also got a little emotional about it. The theme was All Together Now. I don't know if it was up there. All Together Now, and it's a collaborative theme that we have always used, and this was the first year when we looked at it that I seriously considered not using it because I didn't know where to go with it. It was a hard one. It wasn't like fairy tales and oceans and everything that we had done before. And we worked on it. We came up with some ideas. We decided to go with this idea of community and friendship, and just kind of doing good things. And that's the element that is hard to portray in stats and in pictures, but it's the element that I want you all to have in the back of your mind as you see it. Because some of the things that we saw were kids coming in and saying, I know you from school. I know you from soccer. I know you from swimming. I didn't know you came to my library. We did service projects. You'll see some pictures. The kids colored these beautiful placemats, and there were some of them who spent like 30 minutes working on them, and they handed them over without a question to be turned into placemats to give to Meals on Wheels. And we did these little canvas bags that they got to color in, and we filled them with stuff to give to teachers. And when the kids found out that's what we were doing, they started asking for specific teachers to receive these. And it wasn't the teachers they were going into, it was the teachers they had just left. And sorry, I have to write some of this down so I wouldn't forget. We asked for donations to go to the Englewood Schools Family Resource Center, and we got over 300 items donated. We asked our teenagers to donate stuff for hygiene kits and birthday cake kits, which also go to the food bank so that they can get a birthday cake for a celebration. And again, over 300 items were donated and then packaged last week. We gave a safe space. This is one that gets me. We gave a safe space to teenagers. We had 28 teens volunteer with us this year. They gave us over 550 hours of service. It was safe. The parents told me, I can bring my kids here and leave them for a couple of hours and I know they're okay. They learned social skills, they learned leadership skills. We saw leadership out of kids I never thought we would see leadership from. They made connections. They came here on Friday nights and they played and they made connections and they were safe and they were themselves. And we had one young man who moved to Alabama, and those kids made sure that his last week in Colorado was everything he could have wanted that week. That was the kids that we helped develop this year. And even though it's not my purview, I'm gonna hype the adult side as well just a little bit, because summer reading for adults has been neglected for years. And it came back with a force that nobody expected. And that was a beautiful thing. I went to the murder mystery on Saturday, and we had 12 people come from the 20s to 80s was the age range, dressed their parts, played their parts, had a good time. And we started hearing things like, I wish I had come to more. I can't wait for the next one. So that's community, right? That's all together now. Every piece of that is about us building the community that is Englewood. And the library was at the center of that and the heart of that. And that was the beautiful message that we got to experience as the children's. Oh, the other thing I forgot, the thank yous from the families. The donuts and Duffy rolls were delicious, and we did get some of those. But it was the hand colored cards from the kids, and it was the handwritten thank you note from the mom who said, I had a new baby, I had a 3-year-old, I needed something, and you were it. there for me all summer. That's what meant something to us. So that's community. We are community. That is the heart, I think, of what came out of this summer. So the video is about 10 minutes long. It shows you all of the stats. It shows you all of the different fun things that we did. But I hope that as you're watching it, that that's what's in the back of your mind, is that we did build a community this summer. So we built readers too, but we built a community, and that means more to me this year. Just email us.
Do you guys want to watch the video or do you like us to email it?
There is sound, but it's this funky music that I added last minute because quite honestly, I was tired. I'm like, so it's up to you.
You might have to use the microphone, I mean, remote to turn the volume.
I think it's playing off.
If you can, so we just watch like 3 minutes of it.
Okay, and we'll send it out so y'all can
Is that
take your
okay?
time and read the stats.
They give the links away.
They did.
Oh, that's so nice.
Who the blankets go to?
They haven't gone there yet, but they're gonna go to like foster care. It was so popularly, I think that's why.
Oh, awesome.
On a cold, what danger? It's all right. Yeah. They did.
The bus buster.
We take another toe. Someday, I just want a tour of the wardrobe, because people literally have an outfit for every team.
stop and lots of stuff.
Yeah, let's stop it. So the goal is to watch the rest of it and count how many times you see Marie.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. It's my kids.
Yeah, but, the teens are all at the end and they have some pretty fabulous stuff. And then the summer reading. Yeah, we had we still have another week of, completions to do, but we're currently at 51% completion, which is unheard of. In really great growth. So, and it should go up from there.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a big shout out to Miss Kimberly because she is well known in our community and beyond. And children's librarians are definitely special people. Beth used to be one. And they do amazing things for our community as a whole. And I love going out, and I was at an event and somebody came up to me with kids and says, "Is Miss Kimberly coming?" And I turned around and she was there. And I'm like, she was there for the food truck, but, because I said, yeah, she's right behind me. So thank you so much for a wonderful summer, and you've held this library up since I started, so excellent job.
I'm like, don't stand too close, I'm a target.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
And I'll email that out to you guys.
And in fact, I like this idea of having one of your staff come and highlight their program and what has made it in particularly special or noteworthy for the summer or for kids or for whatever population.
Yeah,
it's
maybe
served. I really like that.
Corinne is not, she's off today, but maybe we'll have her come and kind of share some highlights from the adult programs. Okay, yeah, this was, we kind of just, this was a last minute ad so that we could fit it in on the official agenda, so, sorry.
Okay. All right. Any other staff choices? All right, board members' choice.
Yeah.
Can we just do updates from city council?
Let's do it first.
I have a couple things. One is just for awareness. Some of you may know that we are currently filling a vacancy on city council, and I just wanted to use the opportunity to say that we have several applications and we have a city charter mandate to fill a vacancy in 30 days of that person sitting down, which means we have to do it by next Wednesday. So we have interviews with several of the candidates tomorrow evening, and so just letting you guys know as you're tracking that progress, I'm going to speak council person next week. The other thing that I wanted to mention to this group, and I don't believe this conversation, we had a conversation here around the capital improvement plan, but I don't think it's our conversation around the city budget.
No.
I don't think so. And Christine, you can help keep me honest here on
Okay.
dates. But what I do want to flag is that there is some requests from the library in the budget that city council will be looking at, and we hold a public hearing on the budget. And so it is an opportunity for the public to engage and say, this is what we would like to spend our tax dollars on. And so if this group has thoughts on the request from the library in the general fund budget, it would be a wonderful time for you to engage in that public hearing. Public hearing is,
It's in September, like,
that's
I'm gonna
correct.
say like the 14th, maybe.
Yeah.
Around that
Staff
timeframe?
can Circle back on.
Yeah, we
what the
can send out
request
those
is
dates.
And then the dates, but I just wanted to flag that. I'm a big fan of citizens coming to public hearings. I want to hear from people. And I think sometimes folks don't know that they're happening or know how to engage or how to be informed, just do so. And so wanted to flag that for you all if that's of interest in this group.
Just out of curiosity, is that a thing also where the board can recommend, like we did with the funding for positions, can we like send letters and things as well?
Certainly, yeah, if you want it to be, the public hearing, the reason why it's different than the regular public comment is that it's official comment, it's going into the record, the official record for the feedback we got on the budget, and that's what we consider versus regular public comment when it comes to the budget, and so it'd be very helpful if you have thoughts about what staff is requesting to share.
And quick overview, we're requesting 2 positions. It's actually converting 2 part-time to 2 full-time. We're finding we're having much more success and less turnover with full-time positions. And so far that's moving forward. There's been a lot of requests in the city for more positions that have not moved forward, and this one has. And then also some additional dollars for Plymouth Rocket software program. So it's very minimal this year, but those are the three items that so far for our department are moving forward. So the library is getting recognized. So if you'd like to support those positions,
We should be able to put that in writing.
Yep. you got it.
What is, I'm just curious, there is one position, one of the council people left.
Yes, we had a resignation last month.
Is it a at-large position?
Yes, it was Cheryl.
Oh, okay. And, how many applicants do you have?
We had 20 applicants, one requested to be removed from consideration. And then given the timeframe that we were in, city council last night discussed who were the top applicants that we all kind of agreed were the top, and so we're gonna be 4 tomorrow, having a more in-depth interview with them, and then we will select one. Hopefully.
So you had a good response.
Okay, okay.
First Tuesday in October is also an important date. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So for the school, the district kickoff is tomorrow, the all district kickoff. School starts. Bingo, well done, Marie, well done. And then August 29th is going to be, I've told you all that we're contemplating going out for a mill this fall on the November ballot. So that will be, we will be voting on that on August 29th. We've made some preparations ahead of time in the event the board does decide to go that way. We sort of put together foundations of a committee. We have co-chairs.
Volunteer coordinator.
One of them is right here, volunteer coordinators. I went hard after this group, just in case. So if we do go out, at least we have starting to put the infrastructure together, which is all perfectly legal to do that now, to go out and hit the ground running, because we will only have been basically September, October, a couple of months before ballots drop. So there will probably be multiple scintillating and rewarding opportunities to help with that effort once we go, but I'll like more information.
I'll be in touch with the volunteer.
Yeah, of course. So there will be opportunities for to volunteer to help with that if the board votes to do that. So I think that's what I have.
I'm just curious, what is going on with the population in terms of number of kids in schools? Is it dropping? Is it increasing?
It has remained pretty flat the last couple of years, which we did lose a defined amount of kids through COVID, right? But the overall, certain kids left, but they were augmented with new kids coming into the district. Historically, over time, the number of kids in this district has been declining over time. The last couple of years, again, it's been fairly flat, but I don't know, we haven't commissioned a demographic study for probably since maybe 2016. So I think all of you who live here, I mean, the neighborhood has changed. Englewood has changed in the last 10 years, right? The demographics, but it hasn't necessarily translated into a big rise in expensive things. Yeah, well,
their families are
Yes.
getting less.
since we
and
get
less.
back to the first Tuesday in October. Anyway, so, yeah, so it's a good question. Remain fairly flat. We did, obviously, I've kept you guys apprised over this. Last year, we had to make some pretty austere budget cuts this year. Part of that was right sizing, right? The number of staff we have, because we were, we weren't bloated, but with, the number of, we had to right size classrooms and things like that. So that was part of our budget adjustment this year. But what we're finding is we're having a hard time staying competitive, keep qualified staff here with surrounding districts who have a much bigger scale and can pay more, frankly, for staff, teachers, or, support staff.
Sorry, thank God for Douglas County underpayments.
Well, that's been a pretty good pipeline of talent for us over time. But when they can go right next door to the east here and get, several more zeros, it's hard to be. So that will be one of the things one thing the mill would help accommodate or help us to address. lets us move some money around and basically raise our salaries and hourly rates for all the employees in the district, so.
Cool.
And I think we're gonna have t-shirts maybe, if the board votes to go out for a mill. You never know, surprises abound in these things.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, all right, so I'll keep this because we're past time as it is. I'm gonna send out an email to all the board members, to get sort of everyone's temperature about potentially moving the board meeting time earlier in the evening. I've heard from a couple board members, I've heard from some staff that this time is a little tough, especially with council meetings on Mondays and keeping things here past library hours, and just quite frankly, folks are like, I'm not fresh at 7 PM. And I sort of want to I want to make sure that there's just a discussion about, when I started, it was at 6 and, now we're at 7, and just thinking about, we're one of the latest.
It went to 6 briefly during COVID. It had always been 7, just to.
We're one of the latest, we are the latest of, I think there are 3 total that are at 7, and I'm just really looking out for the staff that has to be here, the city staff. All of our sanities, and so, I know that their folks have personal, things and family, and so, I just sort of want to broach the subject of, do we want to move it up to 6:30? So we're done at the time of the end of the library day. Do we want to move it up to 6? Does that disrupt people's lives with kids? I just sort of want to have the discussion, because a couple people decided like, we move it earlier, it's so late, I don't get to eat dinner because I'm coming off, so I just want to sort of I'm going to send out sort of an email to everyone, so you have what the other board schedules are. We are not nearly as contentious as zoning, so lucky us. But, but really thinking about, is this the right time both for the staff? And I would like your input on this as well. As a city person, as a staff council meetings, a lot of the times when there's contentious ones, it is late, even in the study session days. And so I just sort of want to bring that up. I also know there's board member missing tonight, so I'm going to send it out. I just sort of want to start having the discussion if this is the right time for sort of everybody without it being a surprise. Don't forget to fill out your things.
Yes.
You can't leave without this being filled out.
Okay.
Make sure you agree.
Oh, we did? Yeah.
Did-
Obviously.
Oh, I don't.
All right, it is, anything else? Anyone?
Did anyone finish reading the city charter?
Word by word.
Adjourned.